Family, hi, welcome to yet another one. I remember Pastor Chris on the Global Day of Prayer and Fasting, day number 3, that was the 28th of May. He came out to say this.
Why don't you let your world go crazy against you and you become the loser? I don't like that. Won't take it. And that's why I wouldn't take COVID and its lockdowns and masking and social distancing and all that deception and its crazy demonic vaccine. And so when I see the eugenicists trying to run our world crazy with their human population genetics or population hygiene, I ask, who do they think they are to decide who's good enough to live and who's not good enough to live? They've metastasized into multiple groups in agriculture, food technology, medicine, and then of course with the media for deception. Listen, as a child of God, give attention to his word. What I'm saying, I'm not telling everybody, I'm telling God's people.
So shortly, I'm going to share more with you, concerning this same topic that Prophet Angel also touched on when he was talking about Ebola and all that. But before that, I want you to listen to this vision that this man of God saw, when he was taken to heaven, and he saw this about Pastor Chris.
It's with great honor that I stand before you, and I stand out of reverence. You don't understand the magnitude of what I'm about to tell you. I'm going to share a couple things with the limited time I have. Everybody knows amongst the Christ Embassy that I was raised from the dead with the Rhapsody of Reality. That's a fact. It's already been settled in heaven. But what you don't know, and I get asked this all the time, so there's a couple things I want to share with you. I want to share with you what I saw in heaven, because it's going to impact you in a way that you've never heard. And then I want to tell you what we're doing as a nation, and then I want to give you a call to action. What I'm telling you today is not just going to change your life, it's going to realign all the nations. When I died and when I was standing in heaven, I didn't see Buddha, I didn't see Allah, I didn't see anybody but the Lord Jesus Christ. We walked through the streets of heaven. These are some of the things that I saw. I saw scroll rooms that you could see all of the great giants that have gone before us. I saw a sea of diamonds that led to the throne of God. I saw gardens where people stand. And then in the midst of this, I'm just looking around. And then I see something, I'm using this as an illustration. I saw a big rectangular statues, and there's no death in heaven. So I asked the Lord, what is this? And there's only about this much left for an illustration. Only this much left. It was all completely full. And the Lord said, these are my greatest generals of faith, the greatest soul winners that have ever walked on this earth. So I walked over to this, and this is what I saw. Now I can explain this to you, but I can't understand it for you. If you're listening to the sound of my voice in America, any other nation, any other pastors, any other ministry, this is as true account as I breathe today. I'm on extra time. I've got nothing to lose by telling you the truth. I saw on this corner, I saw man of God, Pastor Chris, standing there. I saw Pastor Uebert, Pastor Gilda Phillips, and I saw all the CEC members. And then in a straight line, straight across, I saw the nations. Pastor Chris is the final baton. He's the one that's going to lead this last man into the kingdom of God. God said to tell my people, leave nothing on the table. And I said, what do you mean, Lord? So he took me to a room. And he said, look. And I said, what is this? And I don't see anything. He said, look closer. And I see my feet standing in sand. I see a complete empty wall. And I said, what is this? He said, this is the devil's arsenal. He's got nothing left.
So that was really powerful, and I failed to share that with you. So let's now move on to what Prophet Angel had to say, and please listen attentively.
2001, 2002, 3G SARS. 2009, 4G. Then we have what? 5G, COVID, 2019 and 2020. They will tell you, oh, another one started here. They do tests first. Let me show you something. Ships and ports are actively being used as testing ground for pre-6G and beyond 5G technologies. Before it is presented to you, it was tested on ships. Come back to the front of the class because you're not understanding. And the virus was found on a ship. No. I think all of you are very stupid. You don't understand anything. You are very silly. That's why they keep telling you all these diseases from water, from this one, near the water. Then it would be shocking to tell you a company called CEPI, all right, is Center for Epidemics and Preparedness and Innovations. Is actually funded, listen, co-founded by Bill Gates. Bill Gates gave it 27 million 4 months before, in fact, 27 million to deal with bio-injections to prevent, guess what? Ebola. 4 months before Ebola came in. And guess what? Funny part of it, there are 6 strains of Ebola. He only funded the one to do with the real strain that is now an outbreak. You got to be a prophet to look at 6 strains and go like, this one is what I want to fund. Then 4 months later we are suffering because of Ebola. Let's go to the Epstein files. I want you to see the letter that they were dealing with Bill Gates and all these guys were in the Epstein files. Guess what? Please find attached a draft agenda for meeting on preparedness of what? Pandemics as requested. Let's discuss next steps, for example, how officially to involve who? Because there is a pandemic coming. Don't worry about it. Look at the last line, but I want you to flip and put that last line. Best regards, I hope we can pull it off. And my African brothers, when you look at me here, I seem to be just trying to, they call it, you're reaching. In other words, in fact, put a video of HIV, how HIV came to Africa, by the person who actually spread it and the team that spread it. I want you to repeat that first part. That says, was a unit. And the duty was, we went down. He did not say they. He said we. He's telling you what he knows.
Yes, sir.
And then you see somebody with HIV AIDS and go like, I think they were promiscuous or they were just loose. No, ma'am. He's telling you, this is what we did to spread. And then he's asked how? Through inoculation. And then we hear vaccine in Africa. We go like, my God, bring it. We cried for these countries to give us a vaccine. We cried. Do you know before Ebola outbreak, a scientist was caught in America at an American airport with the samples of Ebola and other viruses from Africa, carrying them there, back and forth? Why do they want this? Why do we have patents for these diseases? Put it up there.
The other thing I don't like is this scientist who got caught in an American airport coming back from Africa with monkeypox samples. The FBI is investigating this. You believe, and others, there may be a possibility he could have had Ebola samples with him. What's going on with this story, Nicholas?
Yeah, this is another shocking story. So an NIH virologist, an Ebola expert, he literally goes in the Congo often. He has field sites in the Congo to catch Ebola from wild animals. And so he was caught at a U.S. airport earlier this year with undeclared biological samples, what are called select agents that appear to be, we know for sure, monkeypox, but as well, there could be other pathogens. There could be Ebola because we know he works with Ebola. He was caught at the airport. Now he's under administrative leave. The FBI is reportedly investigating him. And this man, Vincent Munster, was linked, or actually was actively involved in gain-of-function activities with SARS-CoV-2, with Fauci and colleagues. So you can't even make this up.
These, I guess, look, they're being investigated for this. I'll call them bad actors, okay? I guess you're not until you're convicted of something. But these sinister plots that they sure look like that continue to play out even with RFK Jr. at the helm. They're still deep inside and dug in, the CDC and HHS and NIH and all the others, aren't they?
They're deeply dug in, unfortunately. They're buried, entrenched in there, and it appears they're still doing some very sketchy things, such as transporting undeclared pathogens from the Congo to America. So, this has to be dealt with. It has to be addressed.
What we see on the surface is there is Ebola. But we are failing to see that they failed to make hantavirus fly. Now they are focusing on Ebola. And these sick-minded people already planned, because they are working for the enemy. And guess what they have done? They have used their money to build bunkers on the mountains. A fellow called Rockefeller changed the course of medicine to the point that he put together a report. And in that report, they decided that medicine should be different from what he called Quakers. And the one he called Quakers was being pressed by about 150 institutions, or rather, right? Teams, or rather. They were training people on natural means of medications. And because he wanted to make money, he changed the rules and sponsored 6 billion of his own money to only those that said surgery and patented medicines are the ones that are the real medicine. Anything natural is not. So 150 teams, institutions closed because they were not being funded. So medicine became surgical and patented medicine, to the point that the doctors do not cure you. You are only meant to be a customer. Somebody might say, but Prophet, what about this issue that you said Bill Gates sponsored? Show the video of Bill Gates sponsoring 26
you
million,
had
26
clued me into
something
something, and I told you earlier that I don't believe in coincidences. Can you give me the timeline of these applications for the Ebola virus vaccines and now this outbreak, and how this is so strange to be put together? Wink, wink.
Yeah, so this is very, I mean, you can't even make this up. So CEPI, the Center of Epidemic Preparedness and Innovation, co-founded by the Gates Foundation, by the way, gave Moderna and the University of Oxford 4 months ago $26 million to develop mRNA and viral vector injections against the Bujo strain, the same strain now in the Congo outbreak, the new outbreak. So 4 months ago, they began developing these genetic-based injections for that very strain. So that's very interesting, very strange. I do not know if that's a coincidence.
Yeah, I don't believe in coincidences, especially not when it comes to politics in Washington and all of these geopolitical issues. 4 months ago, and then now all of a sudden we got the WHO screaming and yelling about Ebola. I don't like it.
And hear me well. The problem is, I told you this, you got to find a rat. Hear me well. You have to find a rat. Sniff it. Lick its urine. For you to catch it. It's not airborne.
Yeah. Yes.
And yet it's a pandemic. And it so happens that they're already testing 6G. And we showed you Trump saying they want you when you 6G is to look into your skin. It was like it's a joke. We're trying to show you there is a lie consistently. And we eat the lies up like medium fries. Every time we don't question. The moment fear is put in us, we go like, oh my God, we might all die. We might all die. So what do we do next? What do we do next? What do we do next? If Trump is telling you himself, and notice here, surveillance is coming. So they know where you are exactly. What they were trying to do, depopulation. You know, I really don't need to tell you this, but let me tell you something. You know, don't tell anyone. Go into the backdrop of your, back of the sticks of your own country. You realize that there are tracts and tracts of thousands upon thousands of hectares that belong to the state. This world is not overpopulated. It's underpopulated. How many people here live in Britain and you can see tracts and tracts? You can move in the motorway and go like open land everywhere. And then they tell you we are overpopulated. So what is happening? They create the solution, then they create the problem. That will be solved by their solution. And none of them ever dies of these diseases. As if COVID knows them.
Let's Holscher is with us. Nicholas, it's great to have you back on.
Thanks for having me.
All right, the most important thing, you and I talked about this on the podcast today, just to rest everyone's fears at ease at home. Very, very dangerous virus, but very low chance of it really taking off in the United States. Correct, Nicholas? Tell me why.
Correct. You do not want to get Ebola. You don't want a hemorrhagic fever. But there have been 40 Ebola outbreaks across Africa since the 1970s. 40 of them, not a single one has ever become a pandemic. Not a single one, because it doesn't spread efficiently.
Listen.
In fact, it's not airborne. It's not like COVID. It spreads through direct physical contact with infected bodily fluids from a symptomatic person. So this is extraordinarily difficult to spread in the Western world. Perhaps in the Congo, if they're in confined spaces, it's not very cleanly, then yeah, it'll be easier to spread. But this is most definitively not going to become a pandemic based on how Ebola operates.
Now, If you're going to follow that interview, he says, unless they make it one. They are so sick that they know for sure they want you sick. And they know you can keep your own animals so you don't eat their own food that is injected with vaccine. Guess what they've done? Bill Gates has sponsored something with, it's like genetically modified ticks.
Alpha-gal syndrome was something that was once extremely rare in this country. That is a fact, but it is becoming more and more common as more people develop an allergy to red meat after getting bitten by a Lone Star tick, which is the tick you see with the white dot on its back. And over the last several years, cases of alpha-gal syndrome have skyrocketed by almost 10,000%. And now, headline after headline, all asking the same question: how could a tick-borne illness suddenly be impacting so many people, not just people living in rural America, but in suburban America as well? And then we heard from Dr. Matthew Lau at the World Science Festival 10 years ago.
People eat too much meat, right? And if they were to cut down on their consumption of meat, then they would, it would actually really help the planet. There's this thing called the Lone Star tick, where if it bites you, you will become allergic to meat. I can sort of describe the mechanism. So that's something that we can do through human engineering. We can kind of possibly address really big world problems through human engineering.
Oh, okay. And then you start to connect the dots even more, and you find out that Bill Gates and the Gates Foundation spent millions of dollars funding genetically engineered ticks, and that Bill Gates is also a major investor in lab-grown meat, and now we've got almost 500,000 Americans living with a rare tick-borne illness that makes people allergic to meat, but not the lab-grown meat that Bill Gates has invested in. You think maybe this is not a coincidence after all? Nicholas Hulscher isn't...
Now, I want you to understand something here. You might have a problem in understanding why they are trying to remove cows. The plan of the enemy is to kill the number he's supposed to kill, and it's biblical. That prophecy, you can't pray it away. Let's say you delay it, but you can't pray it away. Elon Musk there.
I guess there's probably a lot of opportunity in synthetic medicine. So with like these days, you can basically create custom, RNA. And I think like the sort of we're going from a situation where medicine has been analog, where we kind of like just find drugs kind of by accident most of the time, like finding sticks in the forest that seem like this stick seems like a useful club type of thing. It's quite primitive how we found medication in the past. Now, but once you can, since we can now construct synthetic RNA, you can effectively think of medicine, the future of medicine, as being digital. So if you just know what to program into that synthetic RNA strand, you can basically, I think, cure almost anything.
Now that means when you have something called mRNA vaccine, did not inject medicine. My brothers and sisters, this thing is now advanced. They called it mRNA, messenger RNA. That means they are sending something to your DNA. It's not just cure. It's an operating system. And you're the computer. So they can inject another one. And Jesus said, it shall be the days of Noah. Meaning to say there shall be a mixture between technology, humanity. As the prophecy that was given, I believe you remember when we dealt with that prophecy of a giant thing and the clay and iron mixed together. The clay and the iron, why? Because we're made from clay and the iron technology. So at the end of days, we're going to have the mixture of technology and human beings. That's why we dealt with Neuralink, and we calculated Neuralink at that time using gematria, and we came up with what? 666. Luke 21, verse number 11. And the earthquakes shall be in diverse places, and famines, and Ebola, hantavirus. At the same time where Ebola, hantavirus and COVID is increasing, you also see aliens. So there is an increase in famines. There is diverse places. So famines were always there, but he says diverse places. It's going to be in a lot of places. Pestilences in a lot of places. How do they leave a person to leave the ship? The husband dies and the person flies and collapses in a Joburg airport where people are. It's spreading. Then another one is now in Spain. Then another one is now they just last week the first first cases of Ebola in Europe. How did they not contain it? When they were doing COVID, they said, oh, no, it's not going to be everywhere. We're going to contain it. And then they allowed flights to continue coming. Then they said, when you sit at the airport, wonderful. I like that genius idea. I was so impressed by that. I love science. I love science. I'm impressed. I'm a sucker for quantum physics and all that and all that. And I wanted to be a doctor way back. Now, listen, but I heal the sick better than doctors now. Now, hear this. And I'm sitting at the airport, and they leave two spaces, literally like you sit here. And two spaces, and they say empty, empty, and you go there. Wonderful. Then you get on the flight and you're sitting next to each other.
That's true.
It shows me how intelligent viruses are. They know you are at the airport, we can't catch you. We can catch you if you sit next to, but on the flight we know it's very... We were listening to such nonsense. Who do you think is testing us? They know exactly they're testing our patience. And then when they test our patience and we found wanting, they push another one. They keep pushing, and they keep pushing. Then when we become people who are obedient, guess what they do? They say there's another one coming. It's dangerous. People are dying. And we fear. The Bible says those who from a long time were in bondage to the fear of death. It says delivering them that for a long time were under bondage to the fear of death. Notice, not to death. The fear of death. Fear of death is the thing that kills people, not death. Death has no power until you fear it. And they know what to do. This one died, this one died, this one died. And guess what? They show videos of people carrying coffins. What do you think they're doing?
Fear.
Building fear. Now your flu, the moment you have a kind of hantavirus, and you be like, could it be hantavirus? Could it be COVID? And Google is not your relative at that time. You go in there, I'm coughing. You cough every time, but this time I'm coughing. You remember this flu-like symptom, you have had it before. But this time I'm coughing and it seems as if my chest is tight and my headache. Some of it is stress where you're thinking it's hantavirus. Then it says drink fluids. It probably is flu. You go like, nah. You tell yourself, not this time. And it says, if it persists for 2 days, you know flu can go for a week. If it persists for 2 days, see a doctor immediately. My God. You arrive at the doctor's place, they put that thing. Temperature is 40. Hi, quarantine. Let me tell you one more thing you did not hear about the tick from Brother Gates. It bites you, all right?
Yes.
All right? It bites you. Trust me, that's the tick. Now, there's got this white dot here. It bites you. The problem is, you don't know you have the disease until you die. No, they didn't get it. Yes. So it bites you, no symptom, until you test red meat. Then you go. Depending on how much you have eaten, you can die from it. And the effects come in. So you only know that disease is now on you when you eat meat, not when it bites you. I don't know if you're getting this, that something stings you, bites you, and you're walking, and you go like, you know what, I need a burger, you know. I rush everywhere. You can't breathe. What happened? Beat you 2 days ago, but you didn't eat red meat. So now you realize that, I now have this because of that. That's the dangerous part of it. And guess what? Trucks have been caught. Truckers have been caught delivering ticks into fields. And guess what about something about this tick? It is the most aggressive. And it's 3 to 6 times faster than a normal tick. If you stand here and it's there, it targets human beings, like run towards a human being. I think we showed a video one time. I don't remember. Where a man was standing like this and the tick was running and he was even moving like this. This just shows the feet, and is running towards him. They are aggressive. They want to bite. Genetically modified ticks. For what? Because we want human beings not to eat meat. How can that be who tells you we don't want to eat meat? But they first tell you that there is global warming. You have to reduce carbon emissions. Guess what? And you buy into that nonsense. And then they start telling you cow farts. As stupid as that is, the moment you had science, you went like, yes, gospel.